up, everyone? It's Phil Jones, and welcome back to Tech Talk with Phil. And joining me is my man, Cam Valentine, where we answer commonly asked questions that we get from consumers as well as salespeople about our products. So, should you buy a soundbar or should you buy components? We get this question all the time, and we're going to answer it today. So, Cam, how are you?
Great. How you doing?
Now, you and I both have full surround sound systems.
Yes, got a little bit of everything inside the house, actually.
Yeah, but one of the most common things we get is, should you buy components or a soundbar? So what are some of the questions that people ask you so we could talk to them about it?
Yeah, so biggest question, right? Is like, hey, I got this TV. My TV already comes with speakers, so why would I go step up to a soundbar, or why would I step into an AVR with components? Like, what's the rhyme or reason? Why would I go from the TV to soundbar or to component system?
Yeah, so we get asked that all the time. Does it make a big difference using the TV speakers versus an external sound system?
Yes.
And the best way to think about it is the screens are getting bigger, but the sound is not.
Right.
So you get these massive screens, 85, 100 that I saw at CES, but the speakers are still this big. So we always say that the audio experience is 50% of what you're watching. If in a scary movie, when it goes boo, it's the boo that makes you jump, right? So you need to have the sound system. So whether you get a soundbar or a component, get something because it's going to enhance your audio experience.
I agree. I think the sound makes it a lot more of an immersive experience when you have that sound going, and not just the little, as Phil just said, the little teeny tiny speakers that are coming out of your TV. No matter the speaker brand, I mean the TV brand, you're still having small speakers out of that system. So with that being said, why would a person go from their television, and let's say they want to move into something like a soundbar? Why would a person go from a TV to a soundbar setup, something like our Polk Magnifi Max AX system here?
So there's lots of different soundbars you could buy, right? And the prices vary widely. We have soundbars that are like $250, and we have soundbar systems with powered subs and speakers that can be over $2,000. I chose to mention the Polk Magnifi Max AX because for this example, it's the best balance between performance and pricing. So that system runs about $700, and it comes with a pretty big subwoofer, a large, Dolby Atmos enabled soundbar, and a pair of wireless ears, all for like $700, right? So it's a pretty big system. And because it's Polk offers really good performance at a really good price. So I've seen soundbars that cost significantly more than this system that can outperform it. So that's why I picked that one, right?
Gotcha.
So that will give you a very immersive Dolby Atmos experience, and you could also maybe play music on it. But there is a reason why people move up to something like this.
Okay, so sticking with this soundbar here in particular, you said Dolby Atmos multiple times. What do you mean Dolby Atmos enabled soundbar? What is Dolby Atmos for those that don't know? So
there's lots of different surround sound formats that are out there, and basically it's how are you steering the sound around the room, and to make it seem bigger and more immersive. And Dolby Atmos is the latest format. So if you go to something like Netflix or Disney Plus, or you have a Blu-ray player, or even if you're playing video games, a lot of that content is decoded in that surround sound mode. So when you're playing it, things will whiz not only around you, but even above you and over your head. So this uses multiple speakers to either direct sound to the left, to the right, or even give you the impression that things are coming from above you. So it's like this sphere of sound. So it's the latest surround sound format that's available.
Gotcha. So believe it or not, this soundbar actually has 11 speakers in it. It has 3 speakers on this side, 3 down the middle, and 3 on the right with 2 up-firing speakers. 1 up-firing speaker on this side and 1 up-firing speaker on this side. So that sound actually goes up and bounces off the ceiling to give you that sound that Phil is talking about. So that's why it provides that sound of that sphere of sound that Phil was just talking about. And I had another question. We kind of talked about this a little bit off camera, because I didn't even notice it until I flipped it around. This soundbar in particular has quite a bit of HDMI ports on it.
Yeah.
Could you explain to me why a soundbar would have so many ports on it? This one in particular, I counted 4 HDMI ports, with one of them being a HDMI eARC.
Okay, so that's actually a good point, and that's also one of the reasons that people will sometimes step up to components. If you're someone that's only going to be playing streaming services off of your TV, being able to feed the signal from your TV into the soundbar and play your Netflix and Amazon and Disney Plus off your TV, you're good to go. But what if you're somebody that has, I don't know, a Blu-ray player, a PlayStation? You want to plug in, your buddy brings a camcorder over, and you want to plug the camcorder in so you can watch your kids' you want to watch the birthday parties. You need to have enough inputs. And instead of you having to plug all those things into the TV, you can plug it all into the soundbar and send the video from the soundbar to the TV, and then the sound stays with the soundbar.
Gotcha.
Now, as you get into something like a component, like a component piece is going to have multiple, even more connections. And that's one of the reasons why people will step up to a component. Because if you look at this component system, that has, like you mentioned, tonnage speakers, it's got a subwoofer, it's got rear surrounds, it's $799. Tremendous value when you're talking about performance from Polk Audio. This system is also a Polk Audio system, and it's got tower speakers and a bigger subwoofer, and it's got bigger surrounds, and it's got bigger height speakers that bounce off the ceiling, but you have to utilize like a receiver like this Denon to do this. Okay. This system's is a smoking deal at about $1,700, but look at all the stuff you get. And it does give you a leap in performance when you go from a really good soundbar to something like components and stuff like that.
Okay. Okay, so I do see a lot more components with this system here. So you said got a tower speaker.
2 tower speakers.
2 tower speakers.
A big subwoofer.
12-inch subwoofer versus the soundbar's 10-inch subwoofer. We got rear speakers. We got the height-enabled speakers here. And then the receiver. And you said there's more HDMI ports on it. What else does the receiver allow you to do?
So if I step back and I say, okay, why would I buy components over a soundbar?
Yes.
The first thing is expandability. So because I can start off with just 2 speakers, and based on my budget, then add the center channel later and add the subwoofer later. So I can, instead of it having to spend all the money at one time, I can start with parts of it and I can build it up as I go. Oh. The next thing is if I want bigger speakers in the front or smaller speakers in the front, I can mix and match what works best for me. So you have this flexibility when it comes to it. You have more ways to upgrade. If I get the best soundbar in the world, if I want to make that better, I got to start from scratch. There's none of those components can be utilized in a future system. Gotcha. Versus I can start off with maybe these bookshelves and this receiver, and then later buy those. And and then now the saddle, the main, these big ones on my fronts, and now what I was using for the fronts become the back. So you have a lot more flexibility and upgradability when you go to this type of component system. The next thing is connections. We talked about the fact that maybe you have a camcorder that you want to plug in, and you have a game system, and you have maybe a Blu-ray player. Maybe you have an Apple TV. Maybe you want to connect a CD player. Maybe you want to connect a turntable. It's amazing how turntables are coming back. You know, people use smartphones, but they go out and buy records. Records are actually growing while CDs and DVDs are going the opposite direction. So there's a lot of things that you may want to connect to it. And if you have a component piece, one of the benefits of it is you can continue to add. There's enough connections to continue to add stuff. If you want to listen to FM, Ain't no FM on a sound bar, right? So even, streaming services are built into this unit. You may have to use your phone or something for that. So if you're looking at it, if you want a lot of opportunities for more sources, or you want to grow your system a long time, or you want to maybe replace something, maybe step up to a higher end Polk series main speaker in the future, it's buy once, cry once. You don't have to each time start from scratch. You don't have to start from scratch with components. You can just upgrade the components as your budget and your desire goes up. So those are big things. And then last but not least, it's just going to perform better. And we could talk about that. The first thing is the size of stuff. If you're trying to fill a larger room, a pair of floor standing speakers and bigger rears and a bigger sub is going to do a better job delivering massive impact in a bigger space. So if you have a bigger space, you may gravitate towards this. How much bass does a car wreck make? How much bass is in an earthquake? So having a bigger system, if you really want the impact of a big movie or a blockbuster, this is going to give it more of it to you than that. And also, how big of a soundstage do you want? So if you think about this system, if you see a sound bar, the sound bar fits under the TV. It's maybe the same width of a TV, maybe a little wider. So the widest you're going to get is about this much, maybe a few feet. And then you're using maybe digital processing and stuff to make it sound more expansive. Versus I can take two speakers, put them 10 feet apart.
Gotcha. And
now when I play that movie, King Kong is much bigger. The orchestra is much bigger. So you have a wider sound stage. If you're someone that's a music person, a lot of times people will tend to gravitate towards a component system because while a soundbar sounds good, components just sound better when you're playing things like stereo.
That makes sense. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So, and you said something about music. Speaking of music, does this Denon piece have heels in it? So people that do like music, can they use heels through this system and have that go out to their speakers?
Yes, no, that's a good point. There are sound bars that have built-in streaming services, but a lot of times they do not, and you're depending on maybe Bluetooth from your phone or something like that. With a lot of the components, there's normally built-in streaming services for music. So, for example, this is a Denon product that has Heos built in, which gives you access to a wide range of streaming services: Tidal, Spotify, Pandora, Amazon Music, things like that. So, if you want to play music that way, that's the way to go. So, if you want the convenience of built-in streaming, a component piece would be very nice. I don't have to have my phone with me. The content just is. I choose the content on my phone, but it plays back. The receiver goes out and gets that track from Tidal and plays it. And like I said, kind of hard. You can plug a turntable into a soundbar, but it isn't as easy as plug it. This is actually a dedicated phono input on here. Or if you have a CD player, which some of us still have, you can plug it in. So when it comes to music and plugging in music sources, these are just better suited for that particular application.
Gotcha. So you can have your nice turntable hooked up for when you want to sit down, relax, and have a nice listening session with your vinyl records. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, if you want quick convenience, you can use Heos off of your phone for some quick streaming to have it really fast as well, all on a system like this. So that's very, very cool. Anything else you can tell me about this? You said something about it's modular. It's more upgradable. You can upgrade the system you can start out with these as your fronts and then upgrade and move those to your rears and move in something like this to your fronts. So it doesn't matter what speakers get hooked into here. You can always change any speakers you want into a system like this. That's the question that I get all the time. Do you have to match a certain type of speaker to an AVR, or can you always mix and match your speakers?
That's the benefit is if you get component speakers, like you can start off with Polks, you can use one of our DT brand, you can use one of our Bowers brands. We're just talking about right here kind of the value thing. Mm-hmm. So yes, you can mix and match. You do want to use the same. It's nice to use the same brand and series, just so when the car whizzes around the room, it kind of has the same tonal balance. So when it goes across the room, you can't differentiate. Bus, 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 not bus. Volkswagen bus, you know what I mean? So you wagon Volkswagen bus, but you want so it is kind of nice to keep the same series.
Sure.
But you can grow. Now, there are some advantages to a sound bar. Like I said, there's less wires. You take the bar out, you plug normally one cable from the sound bar to your TV. The speakers are wireless and the subwoofer is wireless. This system does require wires, and some people are terrified of wires. But if you're willing to put the wires in, it is a more rewarding experience. And that's why if you look at companies like Polk, they make both. If you're looking for great sound at a great price with maximum simplicity, that's where the Polk soundbar like a Magnifi Max AX comes in. If you're looking for maximum expandability, maximum flexibility in the future, maximum connectivity, and more performance, then that's where components come in. But you do have to deal with running wires. So that's kind of that balance between what's the best one for you. Either way, you need audio. Video without audio is just surveillance, okay? So if you want to have the full experience of watching that movie or a sporting event, and you want the crowd whizzing around you, you want to feel like you're there, whether you're in a movie, the Oscars, or a football game, you need the sound. So regardless of whether you buy a sound bar or a component, you need something, but a component system is going to give you more performance and flexibility. And as I mentioned, this system's around $1,700. There's a special going right now where you get all of these speakers, the two mains, the two large floor standers, the two bookshelves, the pair of height speakers, a center channel, and a gigantic sub for like $1,100. Yeah. And then you toss in a nice Denon receiver, you're looking at about $1,700. Absolute steal. You could easily spend more than that on a soundbar, right? And I guarantee you that soundbar will not match this performance. But this is going to cost more than something like that piece right there, which is about $700. Yeah. But if you're looking for a boost in performance, I believe that the things you get for that extra $1,000 is worth paying the extra $1,000 and running the wires.
I agree. All right, so we talked about how this has 11 speakers, 3 on the right side, 3 down the middle, 3 on the left, with the 2 height speakers bouncing off of the ceiling to give you that surround sound. Mm-hmm. So now let's talk about the component system and how this system does the same thing, but perhaps bigger and better.
Bigger and better. Okay, so the interesting thing is when we talk about sound bars, we talk about it has 11 speakers. No, it has 11 drivers. Okay,
11
drivers. A driver. The best way because we interchange them all the time. A driver would be like a tweeter is a driver, a woofer is a driver, and you look down. So if you look here, how many drivers are on the front of this guy? Like multiples, right? So what that was using one driver or 3 drivers to be the left speaker. Mm-hmm. Those 3 little drivers are doing the job of this. So you're talking about something this big, a tweeter, a woofer, maybe a tweeter about that big, doing the job of this. Mm-hmm. So we're talking about all of the information that's in sound, whether it's the low frequencies of a bass guitar to all the way up to the high ringing of a bell. Those 3 little drivers in here have to do it versus this whole cabinet, right? Then you go to the middle. There's a center channel. There's 3 in the middle. There's another speaker we're not showing you that is just dedicated for the center channel, and that has multiple drivers in it. So more cone area means more output. So bigger left channel, bigger right channel, bigger center channel. Yes. Then we go to the rears. Those are your rear speakers, and that's replaced by something like this. So more output, bigger sound. You mentioned that there was a little speaker that fires up at the top.
Right here.
This is a larger version of that. So if you're trying to fill a bigger room, you still are using the same amount of channels, but each channel has more drivers. I really do like the Monitor XT. This Monitor XT, Polk started off as a building the monitor to show people that you don't have to spend a tremendous amount of money for a pair of speakers. And there's different levels of Polks, by the way. This is their entry level. But if you talk to most reviewers and you look at the reviews on these, people are shocked at how good this speaker system sounds.
I was shocked when I heard it for the first time.
The same amount of money for one speaker this big that would cost more than all of these, all of this entire Polk monitor system. So the big thing is the bigger drivers, bigger impact. If you look at the size of this woofer, it's a 12-inch woofer. Yeah. The goal is to move as much air as possible because people like bass in their movies. Think about all the rumbles and the explosions and the car crashes and the dinosaurs running through. So having a bigger woofer just moves more air to make more bass. So more impact, more bass, more room filling, but bigger boxes. And I will tell you, I have a soundbar in my bedroom. And it works great for my bedroom because my bedroom is small. But my living room,
I have this one.
So do I. But in a bigger room, you want bigger sound. If you're trying, when people come over for Super Bowl and there's 20, 15 people sitting in your room and you're watching the Super Bowl halftime show, it's nice to have this because it really feels like you're actually in that action.
Yes. I think that's all the questions I have. You pretty much answered everything that I get asked. So I think unless you have anything else, that's all the questions that I have to ask.
Okay.
You want to close this out?
All right. So hopefully you guys have gotten a little bit from our conversation today. If you like what we just talked about, make sure that you like and subscribe so Cam and I can convince our boss that we need to do more of these, right? Oh, by the way, in the chat, if you have any ideas, make sure you put them in there, and we're going to start doing these regularly so we could answer some questions. But the main thing is you need sound, and our company with Polk and all of our other brands, you can get soundbars starting from $200, or you could spend up to $250,000 on a home theater system. Our goal is to find the right combination for you when it comes to value, price, and convenience. But there's great soundbars out there, but investing a little bit more will give you more flexibility, more upgradability, and better performance if you step up to components. All right? So take care, everyone, and we'll talk to you soon.
If you like the products featured in this video, the link is in the description below.